Hi, I'm Danny Barrington, and together with my good friends and colleagues Esther Shayla and Becky Sindel, I'm one of the founders of the Wash Failures initiative, I would say, over the last few years. The change that we were hoping to see in terms of the Wash Failures initiative is to get the sector to be more accepting of people talking about failures when they happen, because when things go wrong, sometimes we waste money and sometimes we waste time, but sometimes we negatively impact on the well-being of the people that we are supposedly trying to work for. So we need to be able to talk about when things go wrong, learn from one another's failures, and make sure that we don't repeat them. We started out trying to do this with a Twitter account at FSM_fails, where we could talk about problems and things that had gone wrong in WASH and get other people to tag us so we could share onwards. And also through running a game show at international conferences, which really was an elaborate icebreaker. It was very funny. We had trophies, etc. But really it was to get people talking about failures, things they'd seen, and talking about what we needed to do better. We realized quite early on that we were only really capturing people who were active on Twitter and people who were being able to attend international conferences. And this is pre-COVID. So very few people actually did get to go to international conferences. We decided that it would be really cool to try and develop a research project where we could actually hear from frontline WASH professionals in a few different countries about how problems happen where they are, how they are perceived within their organisation, and what were their big ideas for how they could change things. The project was conceived during a Royal Academy of Engineering workshop in Mexico, where they had brought together UK researchers and researchers from a bunch of different low and middle income countries. And Becky and I were there and talking to other participants about the failures work and how we really wanted to do more about amplifying local voices. So we came up with a way of designing a project to do this in Malawi, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Tanzania. But unfortunately, the way that the grant was structured was expected that we would spend the £30,000 on international travel for the high-income country researchers, the UK researchers, to travel to the 4 countries, for example. So we had a bit of back and forth with the Royal Academy of Engineering, and we got them to agree that we could alter the budget to actually pay local researchers to do the research so that it could be locally owned and so that we weren't wasting a whole heap of money on, for example, me traveling to the 4 countries when actually that money could be much better spent with the amazing research talent that is already present in these 4 countries, to do a lot more interviews if we could pay for their time. We weren't going to ask anybody to contribute, the data collectors to contribute their time in kind. We wanted to be able to pay them. And so we succeeded in that. So the project has been a success. We've spoken to 108 WASH professionals. Some that was more difficult due to COVID, but also because we had taken out the international travel component, we were still able to go ahead despite COVID, and it really allowed our local research partners to showcase their talents. And we did all of the data analysis remotely across the 4 countries that were the research sites, but then another 5 or 6 countries as well, where everybody was contributing to the analysis, and it was really a team effort. In terms of that research project in particular, we've produced a research brief that we're hoping is quite practical and gives some ideas of things that can actually be done. As well as that project, we also have the Nakuru Accord, which is a statement of best practice, essentially, that's been developed by people who've been involved in the Wash Failures game show and the Twitter. And it's things that we want to live by as WASH professionals, and we've got over 300 WASH professionals around the world so far have signed up to, yes, these are the principles that I want to live by. We've also published a special issue of a journal where we asked people to write about failures in WASH, and we made sure from the outset that we were able to offer free open access to authors from low and middle income countries, and as much as possible from high income countries as well. And those have been published now. In terms of challenges, I think it's mostly what I said before, is kind of that the systems are set up for the white researchers to have more power, to be the ones who do the travel, etc. Whereas in our project, I know that technically I'm the principal investigator, and I felt that what I was lending to the project really was the research design and the research management, but actually figuring out how to conduct the different interviews, what questions to ask, and how to analyze the data, that was very contextualized by the local teams as to what they thought was most useful. And at the moment, the team is also working on 4 very specialized briefs, which are really practical findings from each of the 4 countries, and they are being developed by the members of the research team, but also with a lot of input from the WASH professionals who were interviewed as part of the project. So we're pretty happy about that.